Rahul Singh, Mr. Shivanand Dwivedi, and my senior colleague, great friend, Shailesh Gandhiji, and other friends I see. I noticed Viresh Belur here, and Namaskar, and several other friends here. Good morning very good morning to all of you. I'm so happy to see all of you here again assembled to discuss a very important topic, that is transparency in education system. You know, our education system is growing very complex, very wide, very huge, and almost unwieldy, I can tell you. And there was a very serious amendment to the constitution in during emergency, 42nd amendment. What happened in that was the education was removed from the state list and placed in concurrent list. It is a very major change which should not have happened, but it happened, and nobody noticed it in 1978 and thereafter also. Then the because of this, what is happening? Though law says primacy should be given to states, it was only an advice and it was not given. Because of this, what is happening? There is a complete centralization of education without caring the needs of local character. Because education is dearer to the local, a Jila Parishad, a Gram Panchayat, a municipality, a state headquarter has to decide how the education should be, in which language it has to be, and how they have to frame, shape, and develop education. Now we have the new policy of centralizing everything and bureaucratizing everything. That is the danger that happened to education also. If you look at the new education policy that was introduced in 2020, when we were all suffering from pandemic and most of us are locked down and people stopped thinking about anything except COVID, then education was thoroughly overhauled, the system of education, and it was brought onto our, what is that, our amidst us. But most unfortunately, there are two aspects with reference to transparency. First, the method of bringing in the new education policy was not transparent. Very problematic. And not even at least a little amount of discussion happened in Parliament. It was simply announced like any ordinance or any policy decision, like demonetization. It was overnight announced. This is your new education policy, take it or suffer. So that was most non-transparent way of introducing a policy. Such an impact, a policy which is capable of impacting every person, every citizen, every parent, every student, every teacher, everybody in the country, that was brought in without any discussion. And they say that they have consulted, but I don't know where that consultation details are available. They have neither produced consultation details, nor told how many suggestions came, nor explained why certain suggestions were accepted and why certain others are rejected. It is totally non-transparent. Then discussion in Parliament did not happen. Then how is it we have to understand the emergence of the new education policy? You know, in the Indian Constitution has emerged out of 2 years of thorough discussion of every word expression. And we know how each expression evolved. If you study Constituent Assembly debates, which is available in the website, very easy, anybody can read it. First of all, you change a basic principle that it should be with states only, and it was brought to center. You don't give reasons for this, and you started using it. You don't discuss it with people. And when you introduce something, it doesn't have any process of consultation or any details about consultation. This is one aspect. Then look at the other aspect. What is that was introduced to us? What is that was going to be given to us? It is again a system which lacks totally in transparency. There is no, they simply say it is transparent, it will be transparent, but there is no mechanism prescribed for making it transparent. So this is the danger of national education policy without being transparent. Then I'd like to point out one important aspect. I'm not going to analyze the entire education policy because it's too long, too huge, and our time will not be sufficient for that. But I'll be touching upon only a transparency issue. See, this new education policy emphasizes on two things. One is the strong, complete privatization of education. Second is introduction of foreign universities. I'm not opposing these two, but I would like to caution and warn that these two major decisions without transparency will spell dangerous to our country. This is a very, very important point. Now, what are the duties of a private university? How is that they are supposed to be giving information to the people without deciding this issue? If you say that I'm going to introduce, I make it a complete private, and state, you are seeing it, they are directly withdrawing, and indirectly also they are withdrawing from the public sector education. Indirect withdrawal can be seen from non-filling of vacancies, then non-appointment of vice chancellors, and if they appoint their political stooges, and suitcases will decide the vice chancellorship, not the merit or education, commitment to education. We heard of incidents like Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, a great philosopher, was invited to lead a university as a vice chancellor, and we don't find such things at all nowadays. Totally, it is a rehabilitation center for our own people. In the absence of appointment of vice chancellors, I'll give you one wonderful incident. In Telangana, there is one principal secretary of education. He is in charge of dozen universities, 12 universities, one vice chancellor, in charge vice chancellor. A bureaucrat is in charge vice chancellor of dozen universities in a state. What will, come on, imagine what will happen to the education. So this is the problem. Then primary education, secondary education, and then junior level education and higher education. At every level, there is no information. There is no voluntary disclosure of information. There is no proper response to information requests. Rahul Singh ji has rightly pointed out that there is absolutely no training for the RTI officers in every university. No training at all. They don't know what is RTI. Even the law professors, where they are holding the CPIO position or First Appellate Authority position, they also do not know, because they have not read RTI Act. If they read, they would have understood it very well than others, but they have no time and they don't want to. There is no commitment to read Right to Information Act and deal with it. It's a very, very pathetic situation. Absolutely, there is no training. And they are not inclined to give information. If attendance sheet of somebody is asked, they say it is private information. If the leave details of a teacher is asked, it is private information. So there is a terrible amount of denial of information misusing the privacy clause. Now, coming to Section 4(1)(b). Section 4 in all. Section 4 is an orphan section. That means nobody bothers about it. Nobody is responsible for it. It is there. It's a very profound statement, poetic, romantic, and excellent. We are happy about it. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work because nobody is responsible for it. Neither nodal agency nor the commission. Nowhere you write what will happen if I don't disclose. Chalo 4(1)(b) hai. 17 categories of information has to be given. But if it doesn't give, what will you do? Nothing. You have to wait for an annual report to be made by the Information Commission, and there you can have a recommendation. Who will bother about those recommendations? Will anybody open any annual report? The thousands of annual reports are on the loft of the parliamentary members and every other person. Nobody looks into those recommendations. Recommendations are useless. Now, so what I suggest is, if you want education system which is going to be completely privatized and bureaucratized, centralized, it should be transparent. And if you want that, you have to make it mandatory for every educational institution to voluntarily disclose information periodically and keep students, parents, teachers, and others posted with relevant information. Without this, you will face private corruption, private secrecy, and privacy will be ruling the roost, and education departments or educational institutions will be beyond the reach of anybody and everybody. This is the problem. So I strongly plead the enforceable mandatory mechanism of Section 4(1)(b) for all, and especially for educational institutions. And the government should come out with a policy, with a complete policy statement about the transparency being institutionalized in educational organizations. This is what I thought I should tell you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir, for your nice talk, sir. Thank you very much. And certainly, 4.1b section is very important. And if all the educational institutes implement it properly, I think we all think that most of the information can, suo motu can come out, and there won't be any sort of like denial of the information under section 8 or 9, as most of the time they deny the information. And now now we invite our Sri Shailesh Gandhi sir, ex CIC Sri Shailesh Gandhi sir. You are most welcome, sir. Please, your thoughts on this issue.
Namaskar. Very nice to see Sridhar, my friend Sridhar Acharya here. This is the way we keep meeting, I think now. मेरे हिसाब से जो श्रीधर जी ने कहा है बहुत महत्व की बात है, मगर मुझे एक डिवाइस सूझता है जिससे ये हो सकता है यदि